I think that's everything. Okay. Hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time, Plugin Along, Little Redhead and I were celebrating our 5th anniversary of playing LOTRO together. So, not a lot of plugin development happening, but lots of good question and answer with chat and general having a good time. See in chat, we have a couple of people. Edramir from Serenin says, hi from France. And Pamela Ella says, hello. Hello to you both. So, today we're going to try to actually get back to doing some progress on the Festival Buddy to plugin save file format. There's some issues with it that we've been digging into the last couple of streams. We're going to try to finish that off before the Spring Festival gets going so that we can push that out. So, as always, feel free to jump into chat with your questions, your thoughts, your comments, all of that. I was somewhat joking in chat that since the Netherlands and France kind of share a border, that makes Edramir and I neighbors since I'm streaming from the Netherlands. And they don't share a border in the continental Europe, but they do share a border in the Caribbean. So it's a fun little piece of trivia. Let's see, where do we have that? Okay, yeah, fun little piece of trivia. The Netherlands is separated by Belgium from France over on continental Europe, but over in the Caribbean you have the island of Saint Martin, which is east of Haiti and north of Venezuela. And on that island, Saint Martin is, I believe, owned by France, and Saint Martin is owned by the Netherlands, and so they share a border there. So, fun trivia. Assuming nothing has changed in the last decade since I learned that piece of trivia, France and the Netherlands do share a border. Okay, so I thought Deef might do some farming here while we do some plugin development, farming and cooking. So we'll just get that started in the background. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Why are you unable to resolve packages, LOTRO? Oh, I know why. I got a message saying unable to resolve packages, and that is true. You would be unable to resolve that package because I did something wrong. Okay. So, speaking of, let's go ahead and get a plugins, well, maybe we'll only deal with that when necessary. I wish there was a way to separate out your crafting from the rest of standard chat, because it does make a plugin development under such circumstances a little bit tricky. Alright, so, we have just Festival Buddy in our plugin directory, so it's going to make it a little bit easier to do our development. Let's take a look at it. If you haven't seen it before, Festival Buddy is a plugin meant to help you with your festivals. It's your buddy. So for instance, if we went to a festival of flowers, it's going to give you a little heads-up display saying collect as many flowers as you can, and where can you find marigolds, violets, and primroses. Awesome. Or a fool's errand. Trouble going through the maze? Well, use the hedge map to help you out. Awesome. Or a laugh at the lost, where are the signposts that you're supposed to be putting there, and so on. However, what we're really looking at is the save file format. So when you unload the plugin, it tries to save everything into a .plugin data file. What's that look like? Well, let's go ahead and unload it so it can save. And then we're going to go into Documents, Lord of the Rings Online. This is in plugin data, and then your account name. And for Festival Buddy, it's going to be on your server, and then there's going to be some stuff in character name, Festival Buddy settings, and some stuff in all characters. And what we're dealing with right now is, I forget, we're going to have to, that was 2 weeks ago. Let's go into our, well, maybe that one. Let's go into our latest to-do file, which has notes on what are we trying to do. for a reminder. So we can see we're doing server-specific stuff in festivalbuddycaredata.plugin-data. Awesome. Not that, this one. So festivalbuddycaredata.plugin. Now, .plugin data files are just Lua tables that have been serialized out into a file. And in Lua, a table is just an open brace and then key value pairs separated by either comma or semicolon, possibly something else. So in this case, we have a key, saved character data version, and a value, the string, version 1.1. The next entry is the characters entry. That's the key, and then the value is a table. We can actually collapse that. If you're using a modern text editor with syntax capabilities, syntax highlighting, they'll often come with the ability to collapse down nested structures. So we can see what that looks like here. If we collapse this tokens table, we just get the open and closed brace, but not all of the lines in between. In this case, that's only 6 lines. But if we collapse down characters, we can see there's 160 lines hidden in there. So collapsing can be very convenient to navigate through larger blocks of text or data structures like this. Now, in your editor, it will be referred to under different terms. In Sublime Text, they call it code folding. So if I say fold, Ctrl+Shift bracket, I can toggle folding and unfolding with a Ctrl+Shift left bracket and Ctrl+Shift right bracket. And it should be contextually based off of where you are. So it should fold the next thing that is not folded, or unfold everything that is folded from inside of that. Your text editor might call it something else, but for Sublime Text, that's code folding. There's also some shortcuts here to fold levels, X and below, instead of just like fold your current thing, fold everything that's 4 or below, 5 or below, 6 or below, that kind of thing. You may find that useful. I'm not going to mess with it much right now. Okay. So we have the right file. Now, where were we working on? So we can see cooldowns was localized quest names, but we were in the middle of something, and we can see we have 8 changes in our local working directory. So let's review what changes we were in the middle of 2 weeks ago, and see if we're happy with any of them, and if we can get those saved off. Okay, looks like there's a note I made to myself in the to-do file. Oh, and there was a Keras reference. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get that committed. Looks like I got distracted in the middle of committing things. To-do, file, changes. We're just going to go ahead and save that. Okay, what else do we have? In the Alt window, this was part of changing from saving things according to their quest name, and instead using their internal key for that. So instead of scroll searching was the quest name for that, we just wanted to use scroll searching, so it doesn't matter what client language you're running under. You're only going to have just the entries that we want. So in the Alt window, we were setting the text equal to whatever that key was. Instead, we wanted to go ahead and get the index and get the name for it and use that name. So this is part of that change. Whoops. So we had some notes here. Check festival data would need to be updated to stop using client lang. Refresh debuff view could do something different. So let's go take a look and make sure we got these 2 places. So we have a couple of places calling refresh debug view. That's nice. Okay, and the function. Cool. So this was a main win function. Do we think we did that? Let's go take a look at what changes we have made. And where are we? We're in refresh debuff view. Well, that's always nice to see that the changes you said you should make are the ones that you might have been making. All right, we can collapse that back down. Okay, so we saw instead of a debug name, we're using v key. Awesome. Same change, and same change. Awesome. So the thing that we said we wanted to do, we ended up doing. Great. So that was this one. Check festival data. Let's go take a look at this. Where is that? So that's function in festival functions. Awesome. And what did we say? We said we'll need update to stop using client lang. Okay. So cooldowns. Let's see what we did here. Okay, we can see v name passing in client lang. And instead we're just using the key. Awesome. We also added a helper function, get debuff index from debuff key, because the way this data currently is structured makes this necessary. And I'm not happy with the function, but it's fine for now. It's fine. Okay, so we did the thing we thought we wanted to do. We need to update to, yep. And character cooldowns. Now we can go ahead and just do a search for cooldowns, and we're only interested in this exact word and in this exact case spelling. And we can just double check that everything looks plausible. Okay, so we're iterating through pairs in here. This was the refresh alt display. So we know that the key and value, we're interested in that k value. And okay, this was exactly where we had done some those changes. Great. Festival functions, we're in check festival data. Awesome. We have some comments here. I was just outputting some information. Lots of debug statements. And then we can see those 4 uses of the v.key over here. So it looks like all the uses of cooldowns we've definitely put our fingers, our hands on in changing stuff. So happy with that. Oh, and then to do, gotta save that. Okay, so character cooldowns switched indices for character cooldowns from quest to key. Okay, we'll come back to main. There's a lot of stuff there, not sure what's going on. In strings, what did I do here? It looks like I fixed a French string while I was at it. We'll come back. We'll circle back around on that. There's a lot of changes here in main, and we want to make sure. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, let's go look at those changes in main, starting with 249. Okay, we had a debug statement here. I think that was I don't think we need that. I think that was committed unintentionally. But you know what? It makes for a good comment of what we think we are doing right here. So save it. We'll just transform it from something we output to a comment. That's fine. Okay, starting at line 255, we have a section, change cooldown keys from localized quest names to quest keys. For each player's festival data, do stuff. Now, I had some info and debug statements, but I don't actually think I want to be doing that in general, just if there was a problem. And then we're iterating through festival number / data information here. Awesome, and here's the cooldowns. Now, what's up with the keys to delete? Right. We no longer are using that. We changed our algorithm. Info, awesome. More info, another info, another info, another info. Okay, so now that we've kind of cleaned this up, let's refresh ourselves what we're doing. So for each player name and festivals table in the character table, inside of that there's a festival number and festival data. Awesome. And in the festival data, there might be a cooldowns table. There might not. But if there is, you know what? We don't need the updated cooldowns up there. We can put it in here. So if we do have a cooldowns table, then we're going to iterate through that cooldowns table. And we're going to be sticking stuff into the updated cooldowns table. And this is allowing us to do deletions without affecting the iteration of the table itself, which we ran into such a long time diagnosing a few weeks ago. So instead of copying things over the whole table and then choosing what to delete, we're just only copying over the things that we want to save. Okay, so what does that mean? We get a debuff key from a localized name. So if we had something that was apple bobbing as just text, we want the key there, all caps, apple, one word, apple bobbing. We have a function that helps us with that, and this function was having some issues with some hard-coded French strings. And so what we just go ahead and have exceptions here. I don't know why it wasn't working, but it doesn't matter. It wasn't until I added these checks to just say, hey, does it match one of these two things? And if it does, let's do it. I have a feeling it's because of those encoded special characters, but not sure. I'm not sure. We are not helped in that the name for 2 of the French secret treasure chests in the Haunted Burrow it's the same effect name, so that doesn't help us with this, but that's not something we can deal with. Okay, so all of this looks pretty good. We've got the cooldowns. We iterate through those cooldowns, so we get the localized debuff name and the localized value. That doesn't sound right. Yeah, let's fix that. Cooldown value. That's better. It could even be a debuff value. So we get the key. Awesome. If that key already exists, and this number is bigger than that is, it's a more recent cooldown number, then we'll take it. Otherwise, if the key didn't exist, we'll just start it new with this number. And that's how we consolidate. If you've switched different client languages, we don't want to have data loss. We just want to use the most recent value for those up to 3 or 4 different possible versions of this quest. Okay, all that looks pretty good. Good job, past us. So we're going to come on in here, and we're going to go ahead and take that function and this get debuff key from localized name helper function. Take it all. Not the verbose output, though. We don't need that. Okay. Awesome. So, added debug and info helper functions. Okay. Not going to worry about committing that right now. Show debug options, not going to worry about that. And strings, updated French name for secret treasure chest. Great. Now that's probably one that we could go ahead and put into the README file, which we ideally should be updating as we move here. All right, what version are we on? 2.0.5. Great. Language. Fixed French name for secret treasure chest. Awesome. Okay, that gives us a clean working directory, which makes it much easier to undo any mistakes that we make for the rest of the stream, of which there could be at least one. Oh, hey, Deef, what are you doing? You should do stuff. Alright, what are those? Those are coffee grounds. I don't want to do anything with those. Start the process over again, Deef. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Here, mark that. Cool. So, we have a clean working directory. We have finished fixing this section of this file. So, let's take what we've learned there and move on to the next file. So, what do we see? Tokens indices are the ordinals for the current order of festival tokens. I think that is true. Let's see what that means, first of all. So when we see tokens, we see a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all of that, and how many this character has. In this case, we think 0. That seems plausible. But what does that actually mean? All right. So for number 1, spring, we have 28 spring leaves and 98 mithril coins. Okay, here we go. D for number 1. So we can see for tokens of 1 and 2, we have all of that. I wonder what happens if I go ahead and bump one of those up, though. Nope, it knows better. Those values are really for looking at a different character's values for this. We can look directly into your wallet from Festival Buddy. So anything that's in the wallet of the current character, that we can look at that fresh. So even if I said, 0 leaves, mithril coins? Leaves. We're going to get 28 back out. Okay. So let's take a look at what tokens is in the code. Okay, so in tokens, and again, we're looking, we're refining our search by searching for the exact case sensitivity and the whole word, so it can't be tokens plus other characters. And that helps us find that exact table reference. Okay, so we're going to iterate through the tokens. That's going to be a key and a value. Okay, and lang tokens, selected festival, stuff. Okay. Yeah, so the problem here is we're using these keys here as the numerical indices to show what order we want these things to show up in. But it would serve our purpose better if we called it Spring Festival in the save file, both from a readability perspective. Like if anyone's looking at this file, it might be nice to know that that's Spring Festival or Spring Mithra or Spring Violet. Might be nice to know that instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it also means that we can't reorder this visually the way we would want. If we wanted Festival and Mithril to be swapped, we would also, when looking at the values for other characters, see the wrong values until they had a chance to log in and update it. And I'm not a fan of that. So if instead of saving 1, 2, 3, if we used Spring Festival, Spring Mithril, these kinds of things, that might be a thing we could do. Now, what I'm unsure of is if we can easily make that transformation. No, that's fair. I know how we could make the transformation. I'm unsure of how clean that would be. Okay, let's think about this. We can arbitrarily do mappings if we wanted to. 1 equals Spring Festival, 2 equals Spring Mithril, and make that switch here. And then any place that's trying to use that key could do spring bracket that variable, which could work, I think. Can it? What would this look like? So right now, if we removed that, would so there's two things that this is trying to solve. This is trying to solve what are the list of tokens, and these are internal values here, right? So I'm used to seeing those as hex values, but you know it works either way. Yeah, so this could just be 7001947F instead of the 1879, etc. So this is an internal value, which lets us find the thing in the wallet. So what is the thing? What does its wallet look up? And also, what order are we showing these in the UI? Other thing that could do is you could separate those out. The funny thing is we're in a file called strings here. Hey, good job, Deef. Well, Deef's reached level 95, so I think on Treebeard, that's cap level right there. So we're just going to stop Deef from doing whatever. You have any grounds? Nope. Great. Well, while I ponder this in the background, I think we're just going to log off of Deef here. Now, Deef being 95 now has access to the next tier of gilded armor and such. So actually, hey, why not? So if you have a gilded armorer tailor or a metal worker, then you have access to guild stuff, and that's over on Treebeard. That's been very useful because up to at least West Rohan, the gilded stuff is just a very nice starter. Like you can get better stuff, especially through things like epic battles, but it's a very good starting point. So I'm starting at 8,800 morale there. Let's get some improvement. Oh, and yes, you can also start getting better tools that are vocation specific, because these things predate vocations, but that's okay. This character is using a set of professions that matches a vocation, so it works out. All right, so we've got 2,000 more morale. That's handy, and it clears up my inventory. Awesome, good job, Deef. What's going on? Deed completed. Nice. Well, I think we'll just leave Deef for later. So what's the right way to do this? Ideally, we would have a separation of concerns. We would be able to have a lookup for token and what is the internal LOTRO ID for that token. Oops. All right. And then secondly, we would have an ordering in the user interface. And the funny thing is, so many things in here are in the strings file. And this doesn't even feel like the right place for it. But it is under lang for, possibly historical reasons. Like anything that was a string that was translated in multiple languages is in lang, but then you get into tokens, and we can see there's nothing language specific here. And I start thinking, well, if we're going to reorganize stuff, maybe we fix that. And instead of strings.lua, maybe we have a tokens.lua. Maybe. Let's start playing around with that. There's no harm in trying it out and seeing what happens. So tokens.lua. First thing we got to do, we got to make sure this is included from main. So wherever we were including strings, let's make sure import. We'll have this first. That way, if there was anything in strings that kind of depended on tokens being there, it'll be there. Extra thirsty today, so water refills on the way. Okay, so we have tokens being imported. We can tell it's being imported because we can just do a info tokens is being imported. Awesome. So let's take a look at that. Whoopsie. For those who haven't seen it, these are the gardens at Thorin's Hall, which is just a lovely place to go farm if you're going to be doing any farming. Highly recommended. It just, not near me, so I can, my fields are separate from everyone else. But yeah, another corner is great. No, it's just if you have just left Thorin's Hall, take a left and run past the Hardened Traveler along the wall. There's a door here. It comes in here. It's great. Music is nice and kind of low key. and they're just lovely, lovely stuff to look at. Okay, so we need a plugin manager. If I load it, I see tokens is being imported. Awesome. So we know the file is in use. So let's take a look at what this could look like. So this is kind of all of that, really. We really could just do the whole thing. So I just lifted all of tokens. Oh, but this is not going to work by itself because tokens references all these other things. So we need tokens equals, and where are these defined? These are in strings. So that would actually be a reason to import these after strings or move them in. Well, what are the chances these are used anywhere else? Well, we don't have to guess. Oh, they're used in barter items. Okay. Token strings, barter items as well after either of them. Okay. And they're defined here and they're used in tokens. All right. So let's go ahead and hoist out anything that says token. Awesome. Get those out of strings and into their own file here. Lord Zach says coding with P4. Welcome back, Lord Zach. Or welcome in general if you've been here the whole time. Yeah. Okay, so are you just red because... Ah, hey. Did I paste that twice? Sure did. Okay. So we have... But do we need it to be like this? I don't even think we do. Let's back up a sec. We need a couple of things. So we need to define the IDs, and we need the ordering in the UI. So what would that look like? So token IDs could be, we don't even, if we're prefixing them all like this, we don't even need to separate them out by event, but we could still do that. But token IDs, so this could be Spring Festival equals this. And I'm not saying that hex is necessarily better, except, of course it is. But then this could be an opportunity to switch over to hex if we wanted to. Okay, and then token UI order equals, and then this would be spring, and then number 1 could be, whoopsie, Spring Festival, like that. And using that key, we could then pop into the token IDs and get the actual value. So the real question, I guess, is there an advantage to also nesting these values in their event-specific entry? And the answer is, I think that causes a problem because we have mithril defined all over the place, and it's always the same, but it had to be defined this way. And I don't feel like we need that anymore if we're just going to reinvent everything. This wasn't actually what I had in my mind today, but, I have thought about it, so why not? So if we nest everything here, you kind of don't need that prefix anymore. You can just say it's Festival under Spring. But if we don't nest things, that means mithril could just be mithril. And that actually seems pretty cool because it's not... I don't think there's too many tokens that belong to multiple festivals, but Mithril's definitely one of them. Is there anything else? Is that the only one? Am I doing something unnecessary here? Because we could just have it called Mithril, and it can just exist in each of those tables. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Or you could even just say, is it Mithril? Then it's special. I think Mithril is a red herring here. We can deal with it later. Okay, so we're talking about something that would look like this. Is you have your IDs listed out by festival, and then you have a UI ordering that references those. And then you would just transform this one table into those two things. And that means you can rearrange as long as you're using this key in the save file, that's going to be a whole other thing. As long as you're doing that, we should be able to just use the key from then on. And you know what? The current save file format is going to have your Mithril coins in every place, isn't it? Yeah, you can see Mithril coins here. I think it's fine. It's not that redundant. Okay, I've convinced myself. So we want to do some transformations on the data here. And whenever I think transformations, I think multi-selection, and whatever your favorite tool is for doing multi-select editing, mine is Sublime Text. So we're going to come on in here, and we know we're doing two different things here, so I've just pasted it into two different buffers, just working spaces. So the first thing we want to do is come in after each of these open brackets and go ahead and quote that value, because we want to be able to use a string to index in instead of that numerical value. And then, I wonder if Sublime Text has a macro to change numbers to hex. That'd be kind of funny. Sublime Text, change decimal to hex. Tell me more. Of course you can. I mean, so it says. So let's select that and then Ctrl+Shift. No, that's doing binary to decimal. Hang on. Oh, that's a plugin. That's not built in. I guess I'm not surprised. Okay, well, we'll leave them as decimal for right now. Okay, so we've added the quotes here. Now, with the named keys, I feel like the comments here at the end are not being helpful. They're just restating something that's already on the line. They're adding visual clutter. So we're going to get rid of them. And then we could add that hex value. I don't think it's necessary. So we're going to come on in here. You know what we could do, though? Sucker that I am for hex. Excel does have a function to do this, and if you're not comfortable popping open a spreadsheet tool like Excel to do basic data manipulation, then I think you're missing out. I highly recommend it. Let's come on in here, and it of course wants to truncate them, but we don't. So DEC to HEX, and we're gonna feed that in. And we're going to get this out. Awesome. So that gives us the values that we wanted here. And we can go ahead and multi-select them back into place. There we go. Do remember to do a 0x at the very front of it to tell Lua that you have a hex value. Now, is that, strictly speaking, better? I think so, but it's a very subjective thing. If you want to be really visually pleasing, you might even get them vertically spaced together, so all those equals are together. To me, a specific 8 characters in hexadecimal just feels a lot nicer than the corresponding value in decimal, where, yeah, they're all pretty close to each other, so they're all going to have the same number of digits, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 digits, just because that leading number is a 7. It kind of puts it into a specific spot. I don't know. Because they're referring to something that is expressible in hex, it's very much my temptation to do it. Is it worth the extra time? Probably not. Okay, so that's the first half of this. The second half of it is the other way around, where we want to go ahead and say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever equals this value in quotes. And then we can bring that on up here, and that gives us the UI order referencing into the tokens themselves. So the real question is, do I like this? And it's going to be hard for me to really tell without actually just doing the transformation for each of the festivals and then trying it out in code and seeing what we like and what we don't like about it. So this is one of those things where we might be looking at, an hour or two of work, and then you throw it all away because it didn't work or it went in the wrong direction. But that's, it's fine. It's a good exercise anyway. Okay, so one thing we can do is we can be sad. Hang on. Barter items, what are you doing? Okay, so let's make some notes here. Side quest. The way tokens is stored in Lang doesn't seem right. We need to break it apart into IDs versus UI ordering. Barter items uses the variables, numerical variables, like Spring Festival token, which ties the UI ordering into... It doesn't actually tie the UI ordering. It's all done... It does not, because we don't allow the users to actually change the ordering. So that's not the problem. Well, hi there, little one. What's up? Yes, she has food. I don't think you're going to get her food. No. Well, he just came in from outside and he's wet and he's begging for food. So, what are you doing? What are you doing? You want a treat? Probably not, but you can have one. Here. Try those. Those are better for you than whatever food she's eating.
Did you see her face?
Kachova is watching. I know that sound. Hey, good job. No, don't go back for her food.
I can go on.
Yeah. You're going to beg her for her food. I'm going to grab your tail. She says, yeah, cat. I know, right? This is Casper, and he's very food motivated. He wants the hot plate, says Pamela. I'm not sure what that is. I don't even recognize it. Is it a potato?
It's the fish thing.
Oh, it's fish, of course. He is a sucker for fish. Alright. Well, you beg for fish. Yeah. Yeah, you oh, nope. You're out of camera, cat. Pamela says, oh, well, I can't blame him if it's fish. I don't blame him. I just think it's very cute and or funny. And it'll stay that way until he starts scratching us for fish. Then it'll be a problem. Okay, so use the name of Extreme Festival. This can probably just be changed to string. Scozy says, my cat loves to look at your cat. Aw, that's awesome. This one's very interested. If there's a television screen just towards the camera, right behind the camera, and if we put sort of those stereotypical cat TV things on there, like birds or squirrels or chipmunks, he's very interested. But the speakers are noticeably in front of the television, so there's definitely that, well, anthropomorphic maybe sense of confusion that as soon as his head goes behind the speakers, like the stuff's still in front of him, but everything sounds like it's coming from behind him, and it looks like it weirds him out. Like he's like, this is unnatural, and so it's got no smell. The sound's all messed up, and if he tries to paw at it, he just makes the television wobble. So he keeps an eye on it, but he's not really. It doesn't seem sure of what to do with it. Oh, Pamela says, I love his markings. Casper has a really beautiful coat. He does. It's very noticeable. Kato, who's napping over in the corner, has a much darker coat. And you can definitely see variations in person. But in the first picture we got from the animal shelter of her, it felt a lot harder to make them out. So I don't think they come across nearly so well on camera. But you're very photogenic. Yes, you are. Okay, so we're going to keep in mind that barter items might need extra attention, but what I think we can do is for each one of these things that gets split out into IDs versus UI order, we can go ahead and delete them down here. We still we have deleted them out of strings.lua, but remember we have source control. So if we need to restore this giant block of stuff, we can always do that. And that's, again, one of the great things about working under source control. We have a massive undo button, and we can tell what we have done. So that gives me a lot of freedom to experiment. Okay, so we have the summer festival stuff. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create two different editing places, and we're going to just look at this as a reminder of what are we doing. So we can go ahead and do a multi-edit. We can, why not come on in and get those hex values. And we can delete those redundant comments. Awesome. I wonder if there's a shortcut. There's got to be a shortcut in Sublime Text to line things up, like on tab breaks or something. But it's something I do so rarely that I couldn't actually tell you what it is. Okay. So we've made the first set of them. So if we go ahead and make a summer section, we have this, and see, we are immediately getting called out because we have these hex values, but we didn't prefix them with 0x, and that makes the Lua interpreter cry. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so we've got our 0x here. Again, we have aligned them on vertical spacing. Don't need to do that. I'm not even sure it's a good idea, but it does look pretty. Okay, so that was the first half of it. The second half of it, summer, in a parallel structure is the actual UI ordering. So we're going to come back in here. And you know what? 1 equals, well, equals row. We're just going to give ourselves a bunch of those. We know we need 11 of them, so there's our 11 indices. Super easy. There's probably a way to do that in things like Sublime Text, but I am being a little bit lazy in not trying to figure it out. Okay, so does that match what we want? Oh, we didn't actually do the brackets for the index. There we go. So if we're happy with that, we can go ahead and paste that back in, and that gives us our UI ordering. Okay, so I'm going to play around with doing that transformation a little bit more. I'll keep narrating in case I'm going a little bit fast for someone to follow, but that's the general idea, is we're going to collapse down the stuff we've already done. We're going to be taking items out of the tokens table and sticking them into the corresponding dual tables. What was this? Harvest math? Yeah. In each of these two other tables, breaking apart their purposes, because the conflation of those purposes has been bothering me for a while, and I may, I reserve the right to change my mind. It might be in that an hour I'll be like, nope, that was a terrible idea, undo, and we'll never see it again. It's totally fine. Okay, so in Harvest Math, we have these. Now there's some spacing between them, and I think that's fine. We're gonna preserve that. But I will say all of the comments here, again, I think are unnecessary for what we're doing. So we're gonna kill the comments in both of these. Okay, so the first one, that's the what I think of as the easy one. So we're gonna come in here, quote this up. And why not grab those hex values? Wizik, nice. It says AlignTab plugin for Sublime Text might be a potential item to look up in the future. Awesome. Yeah, and because I'm doing this also in Visual Studio Code, it could be a Visual Studio Code solution where that alignment happens over at this end of things. It wouldn't surprise me. There's a lot of people who like to do alignments for various reasons. So it wouldn't surprise me if that type of plugin existed in basically every modern editor. Okay, so we have these hex values if we want them. You know, we don't have to, but... Now this one's a little bit more challenging because of those spaces, so we're just going to remove them. That was every 3. Get that 0x in there. But let's go ahead and take a look at that. Do I remember how to do plugins in Sublime Text? Actually, hang on. Visual Studio Code, align code shortcut. Sure. How do I align code in Visual Studio Code? Did you get food? She gave you fish remnants? What a lucky cat. I can hear that from here. Keep going.
He's not a quiet boy.
I don't know, let me know if that come across on the microphone. Scrape, 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 scrape. Okay. Windows Shift-Alt-F. All right. fascinating. Well, it aligned something that I didn't want it to. That's funny. Shift Alt F. There's no formatter for plain text. Yeah, I get it. I do. Sublime text, align code. Awesome. Using Sublime text alignment. All right. Control Alt A. Oh, that's a plugin. Okay, right. All right, so AlignTab plugin for Sublime text. Let's go take a look at that. I haven't tried to install extensions in Sublime Text in a while. How do I install you? Well, that's pretty spiffy. Thanks for that suggestion, Wizik. So, for the curious, the first search I did out there got me to a blog out there with some good pictures for this happening. What I liked about this was that this, and possibly others, but this one specifically, when you're activating it here, AlignTab, it asks for a regex to search for to use as the thing that you're aligning. In this case, I'm just doing an equal sign. But if I'd wanted to do like quote bracket, then I could have had it align like this. Now, that's bad, actually. We don't want those spaces in there. So instead, what if it was just bracket? And then we can align on the bracket. Is that better? Not for me. I don't like the look of this, but you could do that. Just really want to align on that semicolon. Nothing else. Bam. So the semicolon's definitely visible. But, so once it's installed, and you can do Ctrl+Shift+P to get into this view. If you do package control, install package, then you can do AlignTab. We've already got it, AlignTab. And so now Ctrl+Shift+P, I can go ahead and do AlignTab and select it and hit that equals. So lovely. Thanks, Wizik. Thanks for helping me get off my butt and actually install a thing that will make my life easier. So bring it on in and use those spaces instead. Now, the nice thing about this is it will probably fix when I did too much. Yeah. So it'll just make sure there's a single space after the last one. It won't try to line them up on artificial tab stops or anything like that. Okay, so we then want to do the other one, which is harvest math of the visual. Oh, you know what? I forgot to restore those gaps between. Let's go ahead and do those. Awesome. Okay, so harvest math, the visual of this. We want to go ahead and give it a numerical index. We know there's 15 of them, so I'm just going to hoist that from here. And mess up how I'm doing my multi-select. that happens. Okay, so this equals, and then we'll go ahead and do the string, and we should be done. It'll look like that. Awesome. And ideally, that means we can just come in here and redo which value is in place for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Now, do we want to separate them here? I'm uncertain. But there's no real harm in it. So we're going to shrink that on down. We're going to leave some spring open because it's got a pretty small number of them here. Okay. So that's the harvest math, and we can go ahead and nix it. So we're going to come on in, and we're going to just do the same thing to Yule. You're out of frame, little one. Why are you sitting in the chair when the footstool is perfect nice, huh? Why? I don't know. Okay. So, let's take a look at this. First of all, we can go ahead and do our thing. So Ctrl+Shift+P, AlignTab done. We can go ahead and get rid of these comments here. Wow! Good job, Zaman. Zaman's just leveled up to 88. So we've gone ahead and aligned these things. Deleting these comments and alignment could even come first next time. But we want to come on in here. For the first set, we're quoting it. We're going to come on in, grab that number, amuse ourselves. Bring in the hex value. Again, I'm confident there's an extension for that as well. So if I was feeling slightly less lazy, I could look that up as well. But in the meantime, we're going to come on in here and say this is Yule. And again, these festivals feel like they were entered in kind of chronological order. So because we're doing all these things with numerical indices here, it makes it very hard to reorder things because of those save files. So we're gonna be working our way towards arbitrarily ordered festivals. Could even be the fact done by a user. User could decide what order they want to see festivals, which festivals are visible in the UI, and when we separate out the storage of the festivals from their UI presentation, just like we're doing here with the tokens. When we expand that, that'll give us options where maybe someone just doesn't care about hobnenigans and they just turn it off in the options and doesn't even show up in the drop-down list. That is something that we could be working toward. Okay, so Yule's done there. And on the other side of this, we want to go ahead and have a numerical ordering. All right, let's grab, well, we don't even need to grab. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our key. And our value is the name of it. Okay. Awesome. Yule is done. Now we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more of these to go, and it's going to feel exactly the same for both of them. So we're going to start by stripping off these unnecessary comments and aligning what? Oh, haha. Yeah, the alignment does not work if you're if you don't have consistent data. Okay, so first thing we do, we're going to add those quotes. Okay, I've talked myself into it. So we're going to go into installing a package, and we're going to find hex bin. Well, that might be a thing. Sure. Good enough. It was like it says hexbin. Oh, you beat me to it. I finally decided to. So we're gonna go ahead and see if it can handle multi-select. I sure hope so. So for Windows, this you say the source and the destination. So Control B for binary, Control D for decimal, Control H for hex. So for decimal to hex, we're gonna do Control D, Control H. Oh, that's beautiful. That's lovely to see it work. Okay, anniversary. And there we go. We can even check, is the mithril the same? We have 2bb7, 2bb7. So yeah, we're getting the same value for mithril. That's really promising that everything else is good as well. Hey, Casper, settle in. Okay, so other half of it, again, we're doing the indices. So it'll be something like 1 equals quote, quote, done. But of course, we're going to fix that 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Farmer's Fair. Now, it's only 3 of them. It almost feels, silly to be doing a level of effort for something like, why do multi-select when you could just not do that? But nope, not install. Align. But it's about that muscle memory. Like, sometimes you just have to do the same thing over and over and over and over, and that helps you get faster at doing the thing. And so that's why I like to take that advantage, even though I'm doing a multi-select on 3 things, and it's kind of silly. But getting that muscle memory of doing multi-select editing, being comfortable on doing it on 3 means I can also do it on 300 or 3000, or I've had files that I've wanted to do multi-selects on literally tens of thousands of different selections, and you can't see it all. Here you can see everything. If I do a multi-select on equals, I can convince myself that I've selected just the thing that I'm trying to select. You can't do that if you can't see it all in one screen, and if you have thousands of different selections happening, you definitely can't. So it's good to build up that comfortableness, that feeling of confidence in the small, so that when you're doing it in the medium or the large, it doesn't feel weird. So that's my justification for why I'm bothering to do it for 3 items right here. So what do we have? We want to quote. So quote equals that. And then we're using the new thing, so we are in decimal, Control D, and we want to go to hex, Control H. I think I waited too long between them because I was talking. So DH. holding down the control while you're doing each of them. Now what happens if you release it? Control D, release, Control H. Yeah, it's fine. Just do Control D and Control H reasonably close together in time. Add the 0x, and we're done. Okay. Well, Farmer's Fair is even shorter than Spring, so that's my new template. Okay. So 1, 2, 3 equals quote, quote. And same thing here. Farmer's Fair even shorter than Spring, so that's my new template to follow here as well. All right. Let's go into Hobnanigans. Someone was asking earlier, does anyone actually play this? Because it seems like it takes at least 6 people. And, you know, you can definitely get 6 people to play. But bear in mind, a game of Hobnanigans starts when the last club is picked up from the field. The game of Hobnanigans does not actually care how many people are on the field. Kind of necessarily, there'll be at least one because they'll have just finished picking up the club. But that is the only thing it really cares about. And then the game makes a check that says anyone who is on the field who doesn't have a club is ejected from the field. But that means you can have between 1 and 6 players on the small fields and between 1 and 12 players on the big fields, half on each side. And there's no requirement that you actually have that many people. So you can be picking up the clubs one at a time on the small fields, and it doesn't take that long if you use what Little Red had mentioned, which is being defeated wipes that effect from you that says you have to wait 5 minutes between picking up clubs, or you can just wait 5 minutes between picking up clubs. I mean, the reality is many of us who play Little Things Online also have other things going on in their life. They like to read books, they like to knit, they like to crochet, they like to play with their pets, whatever. And so it's not that much of an inconvenience to like pick up a club and then go, you know, do some dishes in the kitchen and then come back and pick up another club. So even if you were doing it the slow way, you can definitely make progress in Hobnanigans. But the actual game of Hobnanigans is very playable if you're doing a 3-on-3 game over on one of the small fields. You know, there's definite action back and forth as you're trying to score those goals. All right, Hobnanigans. We're going to go ahead and lift that into the first buffer here. I've blown up the text so it's a little bit easier to see what I'm doing, but then I just realized that the cat's in front of some of it, so I'm working at odds here. So we're going to get rid of those comments here. Interesting. Those all say inventory, which is true. And that actually seems like a useful thing to say. So we're going to leave that. But the thing that says mithril, we're not. Okay, so same thing, we're going to align that and then copy that over into the second buffer. Okay, so first one is IDs. So multi, edit, and we're done. We're not done. We forgot Control D, Control H, and 0x. All right, now we're done. All right, and in this Hobnanigans, we're going for the indices. So okay, one more down. So setting up for midsummer. And again, we're doing a multi-select on a whole 2 of them. And again, it's good practice. Okay, so wallet, remove that. And in here, we're again doing quotes. We're again converting into hex, and we're good. Okay, and the other half of it, 1, 2. And that's the display order, all done. And finally, in-league ale association. It turns out the way I wrote the quick guide system last year requires you to have a festival entry for a quick guide, and all of the quests have to be there as well. So I figured might as well add the badges of taste and dishonor as well. Okay, so I'm going to do that in quotes, do that in hex. That's in the wrong place. We'd really like it to be up here. Okay, and then down here, one, 2, equals that, done. Awesome. So yeah, if you are not already comfortable with multi-select editing in a tool like Sublime Text, and it's not the only one that offers this, I really recommend trying it out whenever you're in a low-stakes situation like this. Play around with it and see, can I do the thing using multi-editing? Like if I need to make the same 3 changes on 7 lines, can I take a moment, and yeah, it's going to be slower the first couple of times I do it, but go ahead and do it with multi-editing, multi-select like this, so that the next time it'll be a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster, and eventually it doesn't feel any slower to edit 100 lines than it does to edit 1 line. And that's the goal, is that, yeah, it's a little bit slower right now, but eventually you're saving yourself mass amounts of time. So, incremental progress. To give an example of why that's useful, someone was asking recently, is there an easy way to, find travel skills in Lord of the Rings Online, for instance? So, if I were to go into the LOTRO data here, and skills, and go into skills for English, and find a guide to Bree, we can see that's category 102. So, are we doing word wrap? No. So that's category 102. So I could suddenly say, hey, I'm curious to see everything that's in category 102. That sounds interesting. Cool. Let's do a multi-select on category 102. Let's go ahead and select the whole line and just copy it into a new buffer here. And the only thing I really care about is the name. So after that is the category. Let's nix everything else. And you know what? We can nix that end quote as well. Whoops. And yeah, everything before that, we can get rid of that as well. So, cool. Now here's 208 travel skills in LOTRO. Obviously, I deleted a lot of the contextual information, but we can see there's a lot of stuff in here. If we go ahead and do a quick little sort, we can see a bunch of guide tos. So how many guide tos? 60 different guide tos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different journey tos for your allegiances. 16 musters at, and another 38 musters in. Your return home plus another 60 return to places. More sail tos for your mariners. Awesome, 19 of those. Smell the roses, which you get with journeyman writing. And some racial things, I think, which are travel to, and there's 6 of those as well. Oh no, I guess it's Thorns Hall and Karis Gladden is racial, and then you have housing. So 4 housing. Now, how long did it take us to find those 208 different travel skills by using a multi-select? Barely any time at all. Could we have done it in other ways? Yes, of course. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. But knowing that I have the ability to do a multi-select based off of a thing like category equals, and knowing that I can then go ahead and easily manipulate the cursor to select the whole line, and then knowing that I can pull that into a separate buffer for further manipulation, means that the task of, just, hey, find everything that's category 1 or 2, which sure seems to be a travel skill, suddenly gets very easy. And if I was to do that manually, like to find each one of these just by Control F and look for category equals 102, that would take a while to go through all 208 of those. So just a quick example of why I love multi-selecting as sort of a mid-ground between basic text editing and find and search and replace and like database queries. Okay, so we've broken up our information into 2 separate parallel structures here. And let's go ahead and keep this. Why not? This little comment here. Barter tokens used at the festivals. A success, great use case tutorial, thanks. You're very welcome. Yeah, if I can compel like a non-zero number of people to consider multi-editing and to use it in their life, that just seems like a win, because it's been, I want to say about over a decade since I was introduced to it, and it's really, I'm not sure a day goes by when I don't find some way to do something with it. Now, my day job is software engineer, so that's cheating a little bit as far as the utility of this. But so many times a friend will ask for help with Excel, like, oh, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And it's just so much easier to yank a column out of Excel, do a mass transform in Sublime Text, and then put it back into Excel. Poteen says, hello, well, hail, hello. So, yeah, if I have a list of things in Excel and I want to transform it, and they're like, oh, this is great, but I really need it to do whatever. Like sometimes, yeah, you just grab it, you yoink it into Sublime Text, you do a multi-edit here, and here you do suffix or whatever, or something, and having that as an option just means like, yeah, I can get it done, and it will be in Excel, but I don't have to do it in Excel, as an example. Or what we just saw, if you have a bunch of numbers in Excel and you wanted to convert them all into decimal, yeah, Excel has ways that you can do that. Or you can just plop the data into something like Sublime Text, multi-edit, and then you're done. And in less than a minute has elapsed and you've modified 100,000 values. It's great. I love it. I can't speak highly enough of it. I was introduced to that several jobs back by someone whose name escapes me at the moment, and thanks to that person whose name I will have to look up. Okay, so we have started the process of breaking tokens in Festival Buddy, and hopefully we can transform that into breaking tokens apart in Festival Buddy. So what we want to do is take a look, and we can see we're going to start by looking at tokens and seeing everywhere where that is used. And this in itself could take more time than I have left tonight, but this is sort of the necessary consequence. In tokens, we used to have a single table called tokens, and now that was serving 2 purposes. What are the actual wallet IDs for these things, or item IDs for these things, and in what order should we show them in the user interface? Let's take a look at that. Oh, I cannot load Festival Buddy anymore. I broke everything. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. Table indexes nil. Let's look at tokens level, line 86. Wait, was it 86? Tokens 86, table index is nil. Well, I don't think it's nil. Okay. We do need those, so tokens needs to come after strings. Okay. Now to be working a different way. Awesome. Attempt to index a field tokens a nil value. Yep. That's where we're going to have some problems. So, don't care about the to-do. Let's come on in to... Well, this is actually the save file, so we don't have to worry about that too much. We're really looking at lang.tokens. And there's a very small number of references here. That's great. If we don't restrict it at all, okay. So, we are looking at lang tokens to see if lang tokens selected festival k does not equal nil. What does that mean? Well, what did lang used to be? Okay, so tokens used to have for a festival. Let's shrink this down here. What are you doing? Yeah, okay. Okay. You're gonna scratch your neck. Yeah. You got a very long neck. It takes time to scratch it. Okay, so we were looking at lang tokens, selected festival, and then the value. So if that thing... Okay, so what we're really asking is... Oh, man. The data in the save file is informing how we're thinking about asking the question of this index, Spring Festival 1. You know, we said in spring we have 17 of item 1, whatever that is. And so that's really the question we're asking. So, what is V? Okay, so if we think they have more, and lang tokens, to do, change this check to see if, well, hang on, we can do a temporary lookup, right? Would that be helpful? We're going to need a way to convert what's in this save file, tokens 1 equals 28. What we really want, and let's go ahead and say what we really, really want. We want a function. Okay. To do, add a function to convert this to this. Morgan, how about you tell me what you want, what you really want? Exactly. I really, really, really want a functioning save system that doesn't hard code ordering in the UI to ordering in the save file. It doesn't scan very well, though. Okay, so we really want, what was this? Tokens 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that was spring. So Spring Festival, and we want that in quotes. and this was 28. I'll put them in quotes after this. 98, 0, 0, 0. Yeah. So in the save file, okay, so it would look more like this. So what we need is given this is coming from, yeah, let's go ahead and add more context. So this is def equals one equals tokens. So this is to spell out what we are interested in. And converting the save file at the same time as converting all the code probably makes sense. Because then in the save file, we just have the thing that we're already using to index into these other bits. In DTracker, there's a whole system for upgrading old save file formats. And I'm worried that this is going to snowball into needing that. However, the key thing is to write the function, or functions. But where we put it does maybe get informed by how we're going to do this. So I'm going to go into the DTracker, and we have prior save formats as a folder. We're going to go ahead and make that prior save formats. Okay. And in there, what did we do? Let's make a new item, tokens. And this is, I don't even know, version 1.0. Yeah, there we go. So this is in the 1.0 to 1.1. Okay. Version 1.0 to version 1.1. Yeah. .lua. And this can be contextually imported as necessary. So within that, we can have the function, update from this to this. Function, update tokens from v10 to v11, something like that. Update tokens from, yeah, something like that. And so that would take yeah, something like the character table, cars table, for us to iterate through and make modifications to. I'm doing this with the hope that basically the code up here is also going to be hoisted into its own file, if not just a central save format update file or something. It'll get hoisted in, and all of this just only gets included if necessary. But that being said, we're going to go ahead and import this file because we know we need it. And what does the import look like? It looks something like this. Okay, so we're going into prior save formats, and that's going to be tokens v10 to v11. And in here, we can call that. Now, since we're only conditionally importing this, we could also just put that into the global namespace. That would be fine too. But we'll go ahead and do that. So what we want to do is just make sure we're in here. Turbine.shell.writeLine. And we'll do player name. Okay. Oh, same one. Have you finished crafting? You should craft some more. Good job. Okay, so if we go ahead and load Festival Buddy. Oh boy, there's so much broken in this code. So when you're doing code changes, there's kind of two broad strokes. Like, right, you have evolution and you have revolution, where evolution is just like make small tweaks on the path to going somewhere, and revolution is just like, change everything, change all the things right now. And revolution has its place, but it means right now I cannot load my plugin until I resolve all the problems with my plugin. So we're gonna have to assume that this works right now. Now, the specific problem in my plugin is, what do we have? Festival functions 160 attempt to index tokens. Well, fair enough. So this is one of those things where we could resolve just enough to get to load the thing, right? So 160 for pairs in this, what are we doing? Checks if the current festival exists in the characters data. If so, it adds ignore fields. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So make sure there is a tokens thing there. And then what we're really doing is iterating through each of the tokens in E. E being the festival. Why is E the festival? Oh my goodness. Because F is the data for the festival. Of course it is. Why not just name things longer? Festival key, festival data. It's fine. This is fine. So we are checking to see, iterating through each thing in there, if there's not an entry for it in the save file, then go ahead and make an entry for it. Okay, so we know what the purpose is. What we really want to do is Now we could fix this just syntactically so it works with the new tokens format here by going through the token UI order. And so what we're really asking for is in the token UI order, not that, in the token UI order, so for KV in pairs token UI order, and where's tokens? Tokens is there, okay. Do, and this is token UI order. This is indexed by that festival as well. So we're going to index by E. It's killing me. And so we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equals a thing. So we can ask that same thing. If table E tokens K, yeah, we can just copy that in. So for each of those Ks in the UI order, and then we're actually done. We've fixed that bit of the code to work with this new separation. Awesome. What new? Barter window 132. Fantastic. Let's go look at the barter window. 132. 32. Okay, so we're getting an item from an ID in tokens selected festival K. And we're looking at the barter items. So, what is V? Divider. Okay, so V is a thing where number 1 can be divider. Therefore, V2 is this thing here. Okay? And we're looking at item from ID. So any of these places where we're getting that integer 2, we can go ahead and fix this. And this should be super easy, right? So, Spring Festival. Any place where we have Spring Festival, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. So Spring Festival, that's getting nixed. And instead in barter item, we're doing quotes. So Spring Festival, that becomes quote Spring Festival. And yeah, that change looks good. So we're going to go ahead and do all of them. So that's the first thing. Now you may ask yourself, why is the second index first and the first index second? I don't know either. But it's strange. Okay. But that's the general idea, is that for each one of the things in here, we would like it to be quoted so that we can use that as the key into a different table. I think that's fine. As we saw in the barter window, we're using that V2 entry as a lookup into here. And that's fine. Yeah, okay. So let's start from the top. In any place where we find a one of these tokens, we're going to go ahead and do two things. We're going to go ahead and delete it from the main listing. Casper wandered off. He's heading back outside. We no longer have a cat. I say outside. For anyone who worries about such things, we have a structure. There's a cat door in the wall that leads into a structure that is outside, but they aren't free roaming. They're protected from the animals that might want to prey on them, and animals they might want to prey on are mostly protected from them. Except we had a crop of really just unintelligent little frogs that just kept on hopping into the structure where the cats were. Cat run, says Little Redhead. They would just hop through the wire mesh into the place where the cats are, and then Kato would pick them up and bring them inside, and we would put them into a container and throw them out outside again. And the cycle of life continues. And, there's not a lot I can do about that. Just, maybe don't put yourself in the cat's mouth next time, right? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do quote Spring Violet. And Spring Violet, we're going to go ahead and get rid of over here as well. All right, Spring Race is no longer a thing. And this is where no longer used, question mark. This is where deleting it would have broken old files that assumed number 3 was Spring Race, and therefore your Spring Violets would suddenly be represented incorrectly. Yeah, Little Redhead says there's all this yard, and the frogs, at least one mouse, decided the strip of yard with the cats is where they want to be. I can only help those creatures that don't stick themselves into the cat's mouth. Let's go see these silly frogs. In their defense, they seemed pretty small and therefore probably pretty young. So maybe they just didn't know what a cat was. They certainly know now. But there are free roaming cats in our neighborhood. Ours are not them. They are always contained even when they're outside and able to bask in the sun and whatever. But our neighbor has 2 or 3 cats that go outside, and whether or not you're a fan of that or not, certainly that should have some sort of effect on the local frog population, a la watch out for cats. I don't know. It probably also devastates the local frog population, but for those that survive, they should know what a cat is, and they should not go where the cat is. I don't know. Alright, so Spring Race, done. Spring Marigold, let's find those. Okay, and Spring Primrose. Now, in most cases, in most festivals, the Festival Buddy plugin doesn't have that many entries for you to purchase. Now, some of these are probably out of date a little bit, and more things have been added that could be added to Festival Buddy. I don't know how useful it is. But Hobnanigans was the one where I was inspired to introduce the concept of a divider, because it just has so many things. Midsummer also has a fair number. Okay, so Summer Race. We're going to find any uses of that. There are none. Summer Festival. Okay, that replacement looks good. So we're just going to go ahead and replace all 75 of them in one go. The reason I'm trying to be cautious about this is because the Summer Festival match still happens even after you've done this replacement. And then you get... that's interesting. Yeah, if you do the replacement, then you get something that's been double quoted because the thing that was already quoted now is double quoted. So I want to only do this swap once. Let's replace all in Visual Studio Code. Control Alt Enter. Of course it is. A few of these festivals, fish ones just don't have a lot of entries. Scosi says, we also have a cat run, but no frogs yet. I would say you're lucky, because on the whole, we were not a fan of when Kato would find the frogs and bring them in. I'm not particularly concerned if she plays with a frog outside and whatever. Like, not a lot I can do about that. But when she brings them inside to play with, that I'm less of a fan of. I mean, at some point, she's probably going to get tired of it, and then it just wanders away in the house, and that's less than ideal. Or she just starts vivisecting it, which also less than ideal. Okay, so the thing we're doing right now, could this be automated? And the answer is probably. We're doing this kind of cautiously to have a sense of, is this going the way I want it to? That's interesting. But now that we've had a chance to see what does this look like, we can start doing this a little bit more in bulk. So if we go into the barter items, and we start saying, hey, what if we were to lift this into some place where I'm more comfortable doing bulk changes, like we were talking about. Hey, let's find a place where we have bracket midsummer. Because whatever that is almost certainly going to be a token that we're trying to change. Okay, yeah, that all looks really plausible. I see a bunch of stuff down there. I'm not seeing it anywhere else. Awesome. So what does that mean for us? Oh, it means we caught an extra one. Okay, so we want bracket midsummer underscore. Okay, now we're talking. That's what we want. So we've double checked our assumptions. And now we can go ahead and just add a quote before and a quote after. And we've done 142 of them in one go, because that's every midsummer thing. Awesome. So let's do that a little bit more. So we've already seen where summer is done. So if we were to search for bracket summer underscore, we've only found the one. Awesome. So what's next? Harvest math. Okay, bracket harvest math underscore. Let's go ahead and add quotes. Huh. I wonder if that's accurate. Okay. Same thing with the Yule Festival. And anniversary. Bracket anniversary score underscore. Great. Let's quote all of that. Hobnanigans. Bracket hobnanigans underscore. 117 of them. Fantastic. Sioman says, hello from France. Hello from France. We are in the Netherlands, so As discussed at the very beginning of the stream, we are technically neighbors since France and the Netherlands technically shares a border off in the Caribbean. Okay. What else do we have? We've done Midsummer. So that's all of them. So let's go ahead and paste that back here and then take a look and see what we've got. As we scroll through here, we can see, first of all, not much in the way of syntax errors, always nice. And secondly, not much in the way of variable uses. We're using those strings there. Awesome. So that suggests that we can go back into the barter window and make use of this. So now we have a value here. So we said get item from Lang's token selected festival K, where K is a number. And instead what we have is KB in pairs. Whoops. What does that look like? KB, where a V is the value of it and K is the key. Awesome. Now, could we do better than this? Yeah, we could do better naming than this. In fact, we might even want to do better naming than this. So token key and token count. Okay. So let's go ahead and spill that on through. What were those things named? KV in V? Oh my goodness. Okay, so, no, keep going. So we've gone ahead and just fixed those names a little bit. There was some shadowing going on there that just doesn't seem like a good idea. Don't name things the same things in different contexts if you can avoid it. So we have the token key and the token count in the pairs of 2 if it's a table. Awesome. And then we get an item from the ID token key. But what we really want is the okay, so we need the ID. So local token ID equals, given this, we have the selected festival. And remember what we did with tokens before, we broke out those into a table called tables ID. So tokens ID, and selected festival, and we have the token key. Awesome. So token key. So that is the token ID right there. Therefore, if we have a get items from ID function, we can toss that in. And that's going to fix that particular thing. Only 702 more to go, roughly speaking. All right, Alt-Win 141, attempt to index field tokens. Awesome. It will not stop. But this is a big change. The tokens were used everywhere. Now, that being said, this is the kind of idea of if you're changing an underlying data structure, you got to find all the places in the code that we're using it. And by the end of this, we should no longer find tokens, all one word, all capitalized, anywhere in the code. It'll just be in our to-do document. So that's sort of the basic process, is find all the places that still reference tokens, and as long as it is only referencing the save file format and not the data structure in memory, we're fine. And so part of the problem here is that it's hard to tell which, right? Like having stuff in your save file format that is the same as your data structures conflates the two when you're doing the search. Cooldowns was much better. I think cooldowns was only in the save file. And so it was much easier to find things that were specifically about the save file versus using it in the UI. So that's what's going to be either I'm going to keep on working this over the next week because I would like Festival Buddy to at least be able to load, or worst case, next Tuesday, we're going to get on with fixing this split we've done of the tokens data out both into its own file and into separate concerns. What are the IDs versus what's the order of the tokens in the user interface? And that way we can change the one without affecting save file data or anything else. So I think this is a great stopping point because we've just successfully at least fixed a file, though not all the files. So if you have any last minute questions, comments, concerns about LOTRO or frogs, throw them into chat there, and we'll look at them. Or if you don't get a chance to do that and you have something you want to ask, come on back next week and we'll talk about it then. So, just a reminder, this is the Thorns Hall Greenhouse, and I definitely recommend it as a place to go hang out if you're looking for a chill atmosphere in-game that's accessible pretty much no matter what level you are. It is right outside Thorns Hall. Take a left, go past the Hardened Traveler, and there's a door in the wall set in front of you, and you come into this space. The music's this nice, cool, chill music that... remind you that it's there, but it's not obtrusive, and you can garden or you can do whatever. But there's plenty of farmland plots in here and a workbench over here by the door with a novice and expert farmhand on hand for purchasing things. I see. Little Redhead says, watch out with the frogs or you'll be knee-deep in content. I think that's an attempt at an onomatopoeia. Excellent. Well, nothing else has come on into chat to address before we sign off here. So with that is everything we are going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins and the destruction therein. I do hope to see you here next week, and until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.